Hi everybody, it's Christina. Good to see you guys. Welcome to Psychic Hotline School. Give me just a moment. I'm going to get this live tagged up to the top of the group so everybody can find us. If you are here and you can see me, let me know. Comment below and let me know if you can see me okay. So what are we doing today? Today we are going to be talking about Lenormands. So Lenormand is a type of oracle system. Okay, I think I am at the top now. It's a type of oracle system. It's a type of card deck. So you have card decks, right? Everybody has card decks. And so there's different types of cards out there. But mostly, I mean, all card decks are oracle decks, right? But not all oracle decks are tarot decks. Not all oracle decks are Lenormand decks or Sabine or, you know, some of these other types of systems. So first and foremost, Lenormand is a specific system. It was created, probably, I want to say the 1600s, 1700s maybe. And it's based off of the old cartomancy, and there's actually a couple different schools related to Lenormand. So that's kind of where you can get some of these different card meanings that come through. But most of the time, most of the card meanings are going to stay the same throughout the deck itself. And some of them will have a little bit of a different meaning, and so some of them will have a little bit, you'll see it be like a double entendre. Like there's a little bit of a different meaning to some of the decks depending on like the questions you ask. Like for example, just to give you an example, certain work cards, like work or career related cards might be a little different in one school versus another school. So there's two main schools. There's the German school and there's the French school, but it really all comes from traditionally, it's like a mixture hybrid of tea leaf fortune telling symbols and cartomancy, as in just like a regular card deck of cards, you know, like ones you would play with poker or solitaire or something like that. So back in the day, it was illegal to do divination and to read fortunes and things like that. So a lot of the times what they would do to kind of hide it is they would use regular playing cards. And that's why you see on Lenormand, there's playing card inserts for each of the cards. And that's because it's kind of like a covert way of being able to do fortune telling. And so it was really popularized by this one woman. Her name was Lenormand, right? And Mademoiselle Lenormand. And she kind of has a long history, a long kind of seedy history, kind of like Miss Cleo, right? Like where she kind of gets a bad rap. But Mademoiselle Lenormand was, first and foremost, she was a hustler. She was the type of person that, she was a survivor. She typically was financially independent her whole life, which is definitely a feat back a couple hundred years ago. But what she would start, hang on, let me see if I'm getting, if the comments are just not working or if they're just not coming through. Let me just check that real quick. But basically she was, yeah, I'm just not seeing comments for some reason. Okay. Well, hi Skylar, good to see you. Hi Jennifer, good to see you. Cynthia, good to see you guys. So Mademoiselle Lenormand, she was a fortune teller. She worked multiple hustle businesses, but she was kind of like a hard old lady, and she really excelled when it came to divination. She was a very good showman, and she popularized the Lenormand deck, which was kind of like a collection of different psychic symbols and different symbols that we see mainly in tea leaf reading. It was where we kind of see tea leaf reading and cartomancy kind of start to come together, right? And so what the deck is it's a 36 card deck, and it is said to be the deck that she kind of put together, she popularized. But she would read for nobility, and she would read for people of status and stature in society, and it would be all this hush hush type of thing, you know, because that really wasn't supposed to go on. It's also said, I believe it said that she was blind in one eye, or she had like a milky eye or something like that. Like, from what I understand, she was not an attractive lady whatsoever, but she was a good fortune teller, and she had read for nobility, and I guess that she had lived kind of a hard life towards the end though. She got arrested for like fraud and things like that, so it was a bit of a difficult life for Miss Lenormand. Yeah, there's a lot to her. There's a lot to her. So this is kind of, well, where did cartomancy really come from too? It was brought over, it was an Italian game. So back in the day, just give you a little bit more history lesson. It's fun because I love learning the history of this stuff. Back in the day, there were certain motifs that would be put into paintings, especially during the Renaissance, right? Especially during the Italian Renaissance. And if you were rich enough, they were kind of like comic books, right? So comic books back in the day, but they'd be just like one page, and it'd be like a scene. You know, it'd be like Adam and Eve and the apple, or some of these overly Christian or, you know, Abrahamic kind of religious motifs. But there would be different ones, like different ones. If you look at the major arcana and tarot cards, a lot of those motifs are very old motifs, right? They all have a story attached to them. Now, if you were rich enough, what they used to do is they used to sew these beautiful large tapestries. So you would have this big mansion, you're rich, you're an aristocrat in the medieval times, and during the Renaissance, right? And so you need to fill your house with really cool things. So they would get paintings done, but then there became this trend where they would create these embroidered paintings where it would be like a painting, but it was sewn with silk, like embroidery. So you would run your hand over it, and it would be textured, and it would be like puffy in certain areas. And it was really common to use really precious threads like silk and gold and silver, right? And to spin that into pictures. And so you'd have like these giant pictures of scenes on the wall. And if you were really rich, you could afford to have them created around your family, where you would have like your family, like creating a meme almost today, you know, like you would put your family into specific motifs and things like that. And then it became really popular to do the portrait style with the court cards, you know, back in the day. Yes, it's similar to the Sibylla decks. Yes, it is. It's similar. So you're going to notice the Sybil decks. There's plenty of them out there. Lenormand. There's Scheichel, I think it's called, something like that. I think it's another German deck, but they're very, very similar, and they're all kind of their own individual things too. So what you really need to know is that cartomancy was created in Italy, and it was basically created as aristocratic type of thing to do, whether to get photos of yourself made into these motifs, or get your family made into playing cards, that you could have your own playing cards, is really popular with the ladies. And then you would have obviously lowbrow, gambling going on, and the fortune telling going on. And then it became really popular for the ladies of the parlor to sit around and drink tea or get drunk and use playing cards and tell fortunes and things like that. So Kipper, yeah. It's all similar. They're all oracle decks. They all have a little bit of a different language and a little bit of a different nuance. So when you're thinking about tarot cards, you think of tarot cards, it's a 78 card deck. It's pretty standard. No matter what deck you get or buy, the standard, they all have kind of a similar standard meaning. There's 3 schools of tarot: Marseille, Rider-Waite-Smith, and Toth. I think there's probably more, but basically I think there's 3 original schools. And Marseille is perhaps the most closely resembled to Lenormand or any of these so-called pip decks, where they're non-scenic, where you, instead of having like the 5 of cups with the guy and he's, looking down and he spilled his cups, it's just a picture of 5 cups, right? So those are the decks that are kind of similar, but Lenormand is in its own right, its own system of 36 cards. Not all, and you might be thinking, wait, hold on, there's 52 cards in the deck, but there's only 36 cards in Lenormand. Yeah, so they're they're not a full, Lenormand is not a full 56 or 52 card deck. It's only 36. Now, this might be a benefit for people, especially if they're getting on the psychic hotlines and they're like, oh, I want to learn to read cards and things like that. You know, learning how to read 36 cards versus 78 cards is a lot easier. Another thing that is really, really nice about Lenormand versus, say, tarot cards is that on Lenormand, there's just one symbol per card, as opposed to tarot cards, there's like a whole bunch of symbols, right? So everything in tarot means something, allegedly. Everything in tarot means something. Everything on the picture in a tarot card means something in particular. What does this falcon mean? What does this flower mean? What does this mean? You know? And so that way, when we read more intuitively, we can, or more psychically when we read tarot, we're like sitting there reading it, and, you know, we could sit there for 20 minutes on one card, just divining nuance within that card based on the symbols. Lenormand is not that way. We don't read Lenormand like that. We read Lenormand as one symbol and one symbol only. So, hi Aria, good to see you. Let's see real quick. Let me make sure I'm caught up on comments. For some reason, it is not working. Would you say nose not shiny? You're so funny. Okay, so let's look at some comparisons really quickly. So, and you know, I looked and I looked and I looked, and I could not find my Learner's Lenormand. It's somewhere around here, but when you have like 200 plus decks, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I don't know where anything is. So, okay, I'll just pull a random one of those, and what's a good Lenormand card to start with? We'll just do Clover, because we just came off St. Patrick's Day. So when you're looking at these cards, and yeah, they they obviously have a size difference. Just put that in the back of your mind right now. But let's say we're looking at a tarot card, right? And there's this angel, and oh my gosh, there's these cups, and what does that mean? And what is this? And why are their feet? Why is 1 foot in the water and 1 foot's not in the water? And oh my gosh, what are these daffodils in the background? And what does that mean, right? And our intuitive mind just going, oh my gosh, what does all this mean? Well, Lenormand's really easy, because Lenormand is just one thing. The symbol is clover. So it's just one thing to intuit. Now, when you are reading Lenormand, a lot of people struggle with it because Lenormand is very straightforward, to the point, not a lot of extra detail. It's like a yes, no type of deck. Yes, no, maybe. And Lenormand is meant to be read with lots of cards in one sitting, right? And so tarot cards is different, because you can just pull one card and you can get a lot of information from one card. Lenormand is not like that. It's not meant to be like that, right? So you can read Lenormand how you want. You can read it intuitively. You can get scenic decks. Like I have made a scenic deck, and I'll show you some more examples here in just a moment. So you can totally read it like a tarot card, but that's not the traditional way of reading it. That's not the easiest way of reading it. Hey Casey, good to see you. So there are 36 cards in a Lenormand deck. They each have their own individual symbol, okay? And this can be as simple as a ring. It could be a lucky clover. It could be a ship. It could be a house. But there's one specific symbol, one specific icon per card. And it's meant to be read as a sentence versus using spreads. We don't use spreads with Lenormand, not typically, okay? You may, but not traditionally. It is not used with a spread, except for a 9x9 spread, which is 3 cards on the top, 3 cards in the middle, 3 cards on the bottom, which is the 3x3 9-card spread. Did I say 9x9? I meant 3x3 9-card spread, or in what we call a grand tableau, which is the full deck laid out in a 36 card spread. And that is why, friends, that the Lenormand cards are so small. Funny story. When I was first creating this Lenormand deck, I was like, I just want a really small deck. And I'm like, I didn't really pay attention to the measurements or anything like that, because I made these on Make Playing cards. It was the first Lenormand deck I ever made, and it was just for me and just for my personal use. And then my friends saw it and they're like, "Oh, I like that. Why don't you release that? I'll buy it." So I did. But the first time I went to release it, and to make a sellable copy, I accidentally created one this small. And when I opened it, I was like, wow, I did not intend to make it that small. But all that to say, yes, Lenormand decks really do come this small. Yes, people like to use them this small. And, you know, when you're working on the second Hotlines and you have a desk in front of you and you're juggling a phone and everything else, you know, it sort of makes sense to have the tiniest cards possible when you are reading Lenormand, because you want to make sure you have a lot of cards to choose from and to look at and how they all kind of relate to one another. Yeah, grand tableaus are really fun. They're especially fun to do for like a year ahead reading. Those are super popular to do. So yes, Lenormand cards can be that small, but this is just regular, you know, poker size. This is a little bit smaller than poker size, I believe. But this is, poker size or smaller, but this is the standard size of a Lenormand deck. So if you've ever wondered why the Lenormand cards are so small, traditionally small, is because we use we use a lot of cards in one spread. I don't personally tend to do that very much. I tend to stick with a 3x3, which is 3 cards, 3 cards, 3 cards, and reading it sort of like a magical square, sort of. Or I will stick to doing like a 3 or a 5 card spread. Now, with tarot cards, so when we read tarot cards, most of us are going to read in relation to a spread. So it's like we put out a spread and it's like, okay, this card position means this in relation to this card position means this in relation to this card, and so on and so forth. Probably the most popular spread that we all tend to use is a past, present, future, right? Reading from left to right. Lenormand is different. We do not read card spread positions all the time. When you're doing a grand tableau, you do, because if you want to say learn about someone's love life, then you look for the heart and read around the heart, and that's about how spready Lenormand tends to get. Yeah. And so how do we read it as a sentence? Well, let's just start with a 3-card spread. Let's see, something that would be kind of easy to interpret, because I don't want you guys struggling too hard, because this is a very basic concept that I want you guys to understand. So I have to switch them around because I am mirrored. So for example, here's a Lenormand spread. So we have fish, key, and crossroad. Now let's just take a look, just think about this in a logical sense, okay? Crossroad. So when you think about a crossroad, what kind of keywords come up for you? What kind of concepts come up for you? It's about making decisions, right? It's about having multiple opportunities ahead of you. Choices, options, or being at an impasse. It can kind of signal like, you know, a need to pause and sort of think things through and weigh options, trying to decide which way you want to go, right? So if the first card that you get is crossroads, it means that this person in front of you is considering something, it's considering a decision, considering 2 different paths or ways to go about something. They also could be at an impasse. They could be in a state of indecision, right? Jennifer says, the pairs in Lenormand were my biggest learning curve. Yeah, so that's a little bit, you know, it's a little bit of an advanced topic, but start out with crossroads, okay? So now the next card is key. So when you think about key, what kind of concepts come to your mind? Well, what do keys do? They unlock something, don't they? So they unlock something. They could provide a solution. They could provide access to something. Also, it can come up as like a revelation, sort of like an insight, something that you kind of think about, aha, like an aha moment, light bulb type of moment, right? So now that we know these cards on an individual level, but don't they also lock? They can lock. Absolutely, they can lock. So if I put these two cards together, crossroad and key, and you will find, Casey, that the meaning, the energy is kind of the similar. No matter which way you think about locking or unlocking, it's still kind of the same energy. It all kind of has the same message. So if you have crossroad on one side, and the crossroad is saying, oh, there's, you know, two paths ahead of you. There could be a decision that must be made, right? And then key unlocks something. So I would read this as something like unlocking a path, unlocking an opportunity, feeling stuck at an impasse, needing some insight before you can move forward, needing some further information. A key is a tool, so there's something that is required in order to move forward. Key unlocks, but it's also keep safe, specific way to own something. Yeah, so it could be, so even if it is an unlocking or a locking mechanism with crossroad kind of puts a delay on that, doesn't it? It kind of puts a pause in there. So either way you look at it, it kind of says the same thing in a way, right? And so you can read Lenormand, if this, then that. It's kind of like programming language. If this, then that. So what about fish? What if fish typically represent when it comes to a psychic symbol or a cultural symbol? Fish typically is a very auspicious symbol, isn't it? It can definitely represent like wealth. It can represent abundance, and abundance, a school of fish, right? But fish is typically represented good fortune, money coming in, that sort of thing. Luck. So lucky fish. You guys ever get those little lucky fish that you open, those little red paper fish that you open and you put it on your palm and it reacts to the heat in your palm in whatever, like, you know, way that it kind of folds on in itself, it means something kind of similar. So if someone was coming to you for just, you know, a generic reading, you would say, well, dang, it looks like you're at an impasse. It looks like you have some major decisions to make, right? It looks like you need something in order to unlock those paths for you. You need some level of outside information, or you need a solution that is provided for you, something like that. And then fish, now depending on which school you go with, the French or the German school, fish can sometimes mean receiving money or receiving work. Fish can sometimes be a work card. So fox in the German school, fox means more like a work opportunity, whereas fish means more like cash flow, if that makes sense. So, you know, then they could say, oh, well, I'm thinking about opening a business and I need to take out a loan in order to run this business effectively. And I've been in an impasse because I didn't know if I should take this loan or not. So if they're asking you, hey, you know, I want to start this business, should I take this loan out? And you pulled these three cards. These are pretty auspicious cards to say, yes, you should go ahead and do that. That's the key, right? The money is the key to starting the business or moving forward in the business. Yeah, very good. Okay, so why don't you guys give me an example of a reading, right? And then we'll do a reading together. So someone comes to you, they want a reading with you. What are they asking you? Just put it in the comment section, and we'll just do some fun little readings here. Now, if you are interested in learning more about the cards themselves, I do have a video on YouTube, and it's completely free. It has all 36 card meanings, and it features my Lucky Clover deck, so you can watch that. I even have a combinations video out there. It's the writer combinations with all of the other cards. So there's actually 2 videos out there, and you can kind of learn how to combine the language of the different cards. So, you know, today I'm not going to go over like what do they all mean, because I already have a video for that. Today I really just want to like practice and give you guys some insight in how to get really quick, easy answers without having to do a lot of esoteric divining. You know what I mean? Because when you're on the psychic hotlines, we don't really have time for that, right? Okay. Where to go to college? That's a really good question. So Arya says, you have a client that comes in and they want to know where to go to college. So in this case, what I would do is we're comparing and contrasting. Okay, it depends on what the actual question is. Now, if the actual question is, where should I go to college? And they want you to just spit out a random college, then you could, read the cards as far as like, okay, this is what's around it. Maybe you get like an animal and maybe you're like, okay, this is the mascot. Or most cases, you're going to say to the person, okay, what's your list? And we'll do a reading on each of those and see which one would be better suited for you. So let's say they have two different colleges. They are thinking about going to Harvard and they're thinking about going to UCLA. All right. And they're like, I don't know which one to go to. So you get them on the line and you start shuffling. By the way, I always recommend having multiple decks out, multiple decks shuffled, ready to go, so you don't have to sit there and shuffle while people are on the line too much. So I'm just going to pull 3 cards for Harvard, okay? And then I'm going to pull 3 cards for UCLA. You're still trying to figure out your coaching niche. I got you. It takes a while, but once you settle in, you're good. Okay, so they're thinking about going to Harvard. They've got birds, mice, and ring. All right, so birds typically means gossip, rendezvous, negotiation. There's some kind of birds. Like when you think about birds in a tree talking, that's kind of what's happening. There's some talking going on. It could be gossip, especially if you have, say, snake or some other, more negative cards around it. But just as itself, birds means gossip. It can also mean negotiations. It can also mean just like general excitement. Think about birds chattering. It's just kind of like an exciting thing. Or there's a lot of buzz around it. There's a lot of excitement around it. And then the middle card is mice, which means thievery, stress, and worry. Mice eat things. They're pests. They get into little spaces and they eat things. Like, for example, we had a mouse problem about probably 2 years ago where some field mice got in through the kitchen vent, and they got into my tea cabinet and they ate through all my tea. And so that's a good representation of what mice means in Lenormand. It's something that there's a pest. It's eating at something. It's destroying something. Mice are destructive. So when you get mice, it means that there's going to be a lot of stress. There's going to be worry, unexpected expenses. It's going to be, kind of a pest. It's going to be kind of irritating. And then you have ring, which is commitment, dedication, a promise, right? When you give a ring to someone, it means something. It's like a commitment. It's like a vow. It's like a proposal, right? So in a nutshell, when you're thinking about Harvard, so what I would be telling this person is, oh yes, I can see you're very excited about going to Harvard. I can see that a lot of people, with the birds, you're very excited about the thought of going to Harvard. There's a lot of buzz around that. It seems like a lot of people around you are very excited about that possibility. It seems like, that you are talking with your friends about it and that kind of thing. And then mice, you could say, but you have some worries about this, right? And you have some worries and stress about this that's been eating at you. It's probably a money-related issue. It's probably some extra expense related that you might have to come up when they're like, oh yeah, I'd have to buy a U-Haul, or I'd have to rent a U-Haul, and that would be an extra $1,000 I don't have, and things like that. There's going to be some type of financial burden or some type of worry or stress around this situation. And then ring says, but I can see you're very dedicated to going. You really, really want to go. You've made a decision that this is the place that you want to go, despite the fact that you're going to experience some unexpected hardships around getting yourself there, right? And then thinking about UCLA. So the first card is book. And so book means hidden secret knowledge in research, okay? So when you have a book, you open a book and it reveals information. So book can represent hidden information. It can represent needing to do more research before you can go through with something. So with book, I would say UCLA, there's probably going to be some tests or some certifications or some extra credentials that you might need in order to attend here that you maybe are not expecting. You really need to do some extra research because there's something here that you're not seeing. There's some important information that has not come to light yet that you need to figure out before you can make this decision with this. And then Clover, however, it's a very auspicious decision. Lucky Clover is luck, opportunity, good fortune, but this is a very auspicious situation. If you really want this is something that can really happen for you. It's something that's easy. So Clover is like, how easy is it going to be? Considering when you compare and contrast that to mice. Well, Clover, wouldn't you rather have a clover than mice eating all of your clovers, right? So it's going to be a lot easier to get into than say Harvard. But again, there might be some extra, studying. There might be some extra information or credentials or something that you're going to need in order to move forward. And then Lily represents maturity, peace, and wisdom. In the French school, I believe it also can represent the female reproductive system, and it can also represent feminine sensuality. But most cases, Lily is going to represent an emotional maturity. It's going to represent that there's going to be a maturity that was required out of you in order to make this a good situation, right? And so all of these cards kind of lend to believe that, this might be the easier option, but the energy is considerably different than, say, which one did I have? Oh, this one. Then say, the birds, the mice, and the ring. So what would you tell someone? So knowing that you've given them a reading on each one of those, which one would you tell them to go with? Well, I would say, I know it's really in your heart to go to Harvard. I know that's something that you really want to do because the ring, they're like dedicated to it. And I know there's a lot of excitement around it. However, I feel like this is going to incur some unexpected hardships, unexpected financial situations. Oh, finally, I can see comments. Hi, Diana. Yes, lilies is a really great mature concept, right? So it's a really great card to get for people who are making decisions. And then, we have UCLA, which, there's going to be some extra studying required. There's going to be some knowledge that needs to be obtained. But it's aligned. It's going to be easy for you to get in. It's going to be an easy transition. And this is going to help grow you as a person because the lilies is about maturation, right? It's about maturing and coming into your own and independence. And so if I was, the person on the other line doing this reading for someone, I would say, I know that Harvard is in your heart and you want to do it, but I feel like what's going to help you become a better overall person and help you enhance your career, UCLA. Okay. Let's see. My book series I am writing, will it be prosperous? That's a good one. So client comes to you, they say they're writing a book. I'm writing this book series, I'm self-publishing it, and I want to know, will this be prosperous, right? Always pay attention to the words that they're using. If they say successful, that's different than being prosperous, right? So you pull 3 cards. So the first card is Bear. Bear in Lenormand has an overall protective quality to it. It means protection, resources, and power. It can mean, it's sort of like the strength card in tarot, but it's mainly about protecting what is yours, but it's also about like the raw power that's going to be behind something in order to manifest it. And then you have Anchor. Anchor means endurance, fixation, stability. What does an anchor do? It stops a boat, right? So it creates a stopping point, but it also creates a level of stability, right? And then Tree means health, ancestry, and fertility. Whoops. And so if you're using my cards, then I have keywords on them. So that will help you when you're on the psychic hotlines. But when you see tree and you see fertility, isn't that a pretty good sign that it's going to be prosperous, right? Because a tree has a very prosperous energy. However, a tree takes a long time to mature. And, you know, bear and anchor, especially anchor, suggests that it's going to take a while, right? There's a fixation to it. It may even feel like it's dragging for a while when you're trying to get momentum. And then bear talks about having to use your raw power, but also being very protective over the asset itself. So if this client was coming to me and they said, you know, I'm writing this book series, will it be prosperous? My answer is going to be yes. It just may take longer to get that return of investment. And it also may take longer to actually finish the series because that anchor, right? It kind of stops things up a little bit. Bear kind of stops things up a little bit because it's kind of like bears hibernate and things like that. So you will learn the different nuances to the cards. Trees are very much just like fixated in their spot, and it takes a long time. So yeah, I would say yes, prosperous, but it's just going to take a little bit longer. And because bear is in there, I would also say something like refining the book series is going to be the most important thing. It's going to be a level of refinement that's going to make it the most successful. So that could be anything from trademarking it, copywriting it, to working with like a publisher or something like that, you know. So there could be just issues that may take a little while to get it to be prosperous, but it will eventually be prosperous. Let's see. I'm still trying to figure out my coaching niche. Okay, so a client comes to you and they say, we'll kind of make this open-ended where it's like, okay, the client comes to you and they say, I'm starting a new career. I just decided to get licensed to do something, I don't know, become a fitness instructor, to become a personal chef, to sell real estate. Okay, in this case, it's Jennifer saying, I'm trying to figure out what kind of coach I'm going to be. Okay, so your client comes to you, and for this one, I might pull like 3 to 5 cards. I'll start with 3, and then I'll just see kind of, you know, what it kind of looks like. And then sometimes I find that I might need an extra card if it's ambiguous, or it's like you're not really sure exactly what it's saying and you don't have anything clear that's like yes or no, right? It's not like going in a clear direction. You can pull like a guidance card, kind of like how we do in tarot cards, but you shouldn't need one. That's kind of the simplicity and the benefit of using Lenormand, is you shouldn't need clarifying cards because these should be pretty straightforward. Okay. Fox, tree, ooh, and coffin. Ooh, that's a juicy one, Jennifer. Fox, tree, and coffin. So fox can represent caution, deception, cleverness, but it can also mean going against the grain. It can mean doing something in a way that people don't normally do it. It can have a sort of rebellious kind of energy to it, like going against standard advice sort of thing. So whatever you're going to do is going to be highly rebellious, and it's going to be something that goes against the grain of what everybody else is doing, how they tell you that it needs to be done. And you're probably going to get a little bit of side eye with that, right? But it's going to pique a lot of interest. And then tree has to do with health, ancestry, and fertility. So this could be talking about health coaching. It could be talking about something that's dealing with like ancestral karma or healing ancestral trauma. It could also literally be about like fertility and stuff like that. It could be something to do with family, right? So tree is about family. So something to do with family. And then coffin means endings, right? So ending, tragedy, or loss. So if I was looking at this, it could be something along the lines of helping people deal with a loss of some kind, helping people during some sort of health transition, you know, that sort of thing. Did I mention that also in the German school, Fox is also the work card, independent contractor card. So sometimes Fox can also represent work. So this is probably something that you're going to be independently doing. It's going to be something rebellious, something that goes against the grain, something that you might have to be a little bit clever about. It's going to be something related to health, family, fertility, overall wellness, right? And then it's going to be related to someone going through endings, going through a loss, going through a transitional period, how to recover from something, going into the next stage of life. And then if you wanted to, you could pull another clarifying card, and the card I got is Snake, which means treachery, betrayal, and lies. So it could be, your niche could be something where they have been let down before by other people. It could be something that they have been hurt by others with that you are helping them recuperate from. So something along those lines. It's definitely something radical, Jennifer. Yes, enjoying refining the message. That's why I love using 3 oracles at a time. You and me both. I love being able to use multiple oracle card decks and like being able to get different nuance from the different decks, right? But are you guys kind of seeing how simple and straightforward Lenormand is? How easy it's. Lenormand's like bam, 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 right? It's like, just tell me the information. But when you use tarot cards and Lenormand together, I tell you, magic really happens because you get both that esoteric information, you know, that spiritual information, and you get the physical, the regular mundane kind of information as well. Does anybody else want to practice a question before I let you guys go? Anybody else have a question that they want to pretend to ask or ask for real and get some insight on how to answer this question? What are some questions that you guys get on the Psychic Hotlines a lot? I agree with you, Diana. Lenormand and Tarot is great teamwork. Absolutely. And my friend Emmy is coming out with a Lenormand deck, and she has the Simplicity Tarot. And oh my gosh, that's going to be a good one to use. So Simplicity Tarot and the Simplicity Lenormand. Go follow Emily Muniz. She's got some really great decks coming out. Aha, why am I burnt out? That's a good question. Okay. You get a client, they come to the Psychic Hotline and say, no matter what I do, I'm tired all the time. You know, I like my job and I do well in my job. I have a fulfilling relationship, but I just feel like I'm completely burnt out of life. I feel like I'm, you know, tired all the time. I feel like I never have enough time to take care of myself, right? And so you're like, all right. Okay, Skylar, we'll do that one too. Tree keeps coming up. My goodness. Tree is like really popular today. So Casey, you've got child. Child can represent innocence, naivete, spontaneity. It can also represent something that you protect as a child, or something as precious as a child would be, right? Or something that you take care of, something that requires ongoing maintenance. The next card is fox and then tree. So why am I burnt out all the time? Well, you're taking care of others, right? There is this social responsibility that you have, this obligation that you have to take care of yourself as others. And it could also be something like, you know, having to baby people or having to provide an exceptional level of care to people, even including yourself, or people that can't necessarily take care of themselves, right? And then fox represents caution, deception, and cleverness. Fox is kind of out for oneself. Fox is a very independent kind of card. So it can suggest maybe not asking for enough help. You have a lot of responsibilities. You don't have a lot of people to help. It could mean that also without this level of help, you've had to cut corners and you've had to kind of go about things in a way you normally wouldn't necessarily do, because fox is preventing you from, you know, fox and child are preventing you from really being able to handle those individual responsibilities the way that they should really be handled. And then you have tree, which talks about health, nutrition, fertility, ancestry, right? And so what that means is that it's wearing down on your health. So I would say, if you're feeling burnout, this is mostly health related, not necessarily mental health related, but physically health related. And this is probably something to do, trees breathe, right? They breathe out oxygen. This is probably something to do with the lung area. I'm going more into like a medical Lenormand, which I have a medical Lenormand deck, by the way. It's available on the site. But I would say this is probably something within the chest area that you're dealing with. It's probably something blood also related, blood oxygen related. It could simply mean that you're not getting enough physical activity in order to keep the blood moving. It could also mean more metaphorically that, you know, you have these other things that you have to take care of, which rob, you know, your health. Okay. And then if I wanted to, I could pull another card, which I got key. So there is a solution to this. So whatever you're dealing with, whatever is burning you out, there is a solution to it. And then if I wanted to keep going, okay, next obvious question is, what's the solution? Stars. Healing, recovery, and network. It means that you need to take some time out to heal. You need to reconnect to your higher purpose. You need to literally go outside, look at the stars, and reconnect with nature. It also means that stars can be like a network of people. It can be like a network of helpful people. It means also that you need to increase your network of helpful, available people around you. So it's not rocket science, right? Lenormand is very straightforward, and it can be very, very helpful. The only thing about Lenormand is, you know, if you're trying to get people to stay on the line, it can be a little bit difficult, which is why I say to use tarot and Lenormand. So they're just associated. So there's 30. So Casey asked, what's with the numbers in the suits? Okay, so in traditional cartomancy, many years ago, a couple hundred years ago, 300-400 years ago, there were card decks, 52 card decks, like what we play poker or solitaire with. And so fortune telling was illegal. And so what they would do is they would associate certain pip decks, certain pip cards, like 7 of hearts, right? Associated with certain psychic symbols. So that way, when you're in a bar and you're playing cards with someone, you're not showing that you're actually reading a psychic deck, or you're not doing a reading. You can just say you're gambling. And so it's like a secret hidden legend, you know, it's like kind of legend is like a legend on a map. It's like a covert way to do fortune telling by just using a regular card playing deck, because there's certain Lenormand cards associated to certain decks in a regular playing card deck. And so that's why they're on here, so that you can see that and you can kind of memorize that. And it's very similar to traditional fortune telling, what you would call like Romani type of style fortune telling. It's kind of similar. The meanings kind of have a little bit of an overlap there. Diana says, I got the cards once when my cat almost died from a fall on my window. It's like he was protected by the stars heaven, or because it happened during the night. Yeah, and so what Diana is saying is it can also be very literal, right? And Lenormand has a way with being very literal. That's why Lenormand is so good for missing persons. Is Mystery Man thinking of me? How does so-and-so really feel about me is a question I get. Okay. So you have a client, they come in and they say, I met this guy at a bar last night and I got his number and he got mine. I haven't heard from him yet. I was just wondering what he thought about me and if he's going to call. Okay, that's a really good one. Let me make sure I really shuffle these, because we've been getting the same cards over and over and over again. So let me make sure I give him a really good shuffle. And that happens sometimes. I don't know if you guys ever experienced that when you're on the lines. Like you'll have 5 people with the same set of cards coming in. It's funny. Okay, what does Mystery Man think of me? Dang, where'd that tree again? Scythe. Okay. So the first card is clouds. So what you will notice too, by the way. Oh yeah, timing. Yes, Lenormand's great for timing, Aria. By the way, I don't know if you know this, but this is just like a little inside information here. On the clouds card, there's always a dark side and there's always a light side. So if I had cards over here, it would suggest this is where the confusion lies and this is where the solution lies, because the sun is hitting the light clouds versus the dark clouds. So you will see typically, traditionally, in Lenormand, the clouds card is depicted half dark stormy and half with the sunlight hitting it. And that's to be able to tell you on what side is the confusion, the dark side, what is obscured, and what is the solution to that, or what is the known information. Just a little insider tip. Okay, so cloud means confusion. What happens when it's cloudy? We can't see the sun. The view is obstructed. So we're unable to see clearly, right? It means uncertainty, confusion, and doubt. Oh no, that's not going well for our girl so far, is it? Like, so far, that person is not exactly sure how they feel about you. They feel conflicted about you. However, because the sunshine is going this way with the future, that can tend to bode that even though there's confusion right now, that they will come out of that confusion, or that they're leaning towards, yes, they do like you, or they did enjoy their time with you, okay? As opposed to not. The middle card is, you guessed it, tree, which can represent health, ancestry, fertility. This, when you kind of have to think about, like, what is the environment in which the situation is taking place, and how can I relate that to the card? So if tree represents health, ancestry, and fertility, could that also represent a certain sensuality there? I think so, personally. It could also mean that they view you as a very stable person. They view you as overall a very healthy person, right? So they like that about you. Tree can also mean perhaps a groundedness, right? There's like a grounded energy to it, because trees stay in one place. So it could mean that they think you're a very grounded person, and they really liked that about you. The next card is scythe. Scythe is never, oof, scythe is difficult, right? Scythe, you guys know what a scythe is, right? It's this tool. It's like the thing that the Grim Reaper holds. You know what I'm saying? They used to use it to cut grass. It's used to cut things. It's used to harvest things. But scythe has this energy of being sharp and a sudden cut. Like it's cut and removed. There's a removal process, or there's a harvesting process. It's mostly a negative card. What you'll find in Lenormand is that there's cards that are traditionally positive. There's cards that are traditionally negative. Scythe is one of those pretty traditionally negative cards, okay? So what would you guys say? This is not going very well for our girls. So I would say that they really liked your grounded personality. They did have fun with you. They're a little uncertain about the direction that they would go with you. I don't see that this is going to take a romantic turn anytime soon. And I wouldn't be surprised if you probably don't hear from them, because scythe is kind of like cutting something away, like removing something. So I would break it to girlfriend and say something along the lines of, unfortunately, I don't feel like this relationship is going to go anywhere. However, they did have fun, and they had these nice things to say about you. And if you wanted to, you could pull, oh, okay. Very clear. Dog. This is going to be a friend only. This is not going to be someone that you become romantically involved in. This is someone that you'll probably become friends with, that you'll see in passing, that you would be friendly and cordial with, but probably not romantic. Not the answer they want to know, but the answer that they got. Let's see. What was the other one? How does so-and-so feel about me? Okay. That interpretation makes sense to you? Okay, good. I'm glad. And hey, if you guys get something different, you get something different. That's what makes us all unique and wonderful, is that we all have a perspective that we can utilize on the cards. And hey, you know what? We all read in a little bit of a different way. But I think most of the time we all kind of come to the same conclusion, whether we're reading verbatim like one another. But I think that the overall energy of the cards, we can all kind of look at it and get a yes, that's moving forward, or no, that's probably not going to be moving forward, right? However, whatever the fine details are kind of irrelevant in that case. So what does he or she feel about me? That's a really good one. So I have a post in the group about how to do feelings versus intentions for tarot cards. So you guys might want to check that out. But on Lenormand, it's a little bit more easy and straightforward, I think. Diana says, that's why I love seeing other readers read, because I love how I can see others interpret and sometimes make sense to me too. Yeah, and I think that's a very helpful. How do you do a Lenormand timing meeting? Okay, we'll do a timing one, and that'll be the last one because I have to go. Because I still have a couple things that I need to do today. I need to make some graphics and set up some private classes and stuff. So, oh, Skylar. Lily's, for example, has appeared as a make peace with someone. Yeah, like off, like an olive branch, something. Yeah, spot on. If so, oh, okay. How do they feel about me? Okay. Ooh, this is not good either. Dang. So the first card is Moon. Moon represents recognition, fame, intuition. It can represent something that's cyclical, in nature. Oh, okay, Skylar, got you. So cyclical in nature, but it can also be representing, it's mostly like fame, like your reputation. Moon in Lenormand means reputation, more or less. So it's a reputation. So I would say they started as a friend. We'll stay one. Got it. Got you. So this is generally a positive card. It means that that you have a positive reputation. So this is what I'd be telling the person they think about you. They really respect you. They respect you a lot. You have a great relationship and reputation with this person. This person actually thinks you're quite popular. They're a little starstruck with you. That's what I would say. Is they're a little starstruck with you. They kind of get a little squirrely when you come by and when you talk to them and stuff. They're very much they have a very open energy towards you. Like they are really trying to attract you, right? And then cross. Well, cross typically means obligation, burden, sorrow. It means that however that they're feeling is that they feel like their hands are tied, like they can't do anything about it, or they don't feel like they would be necessarily good enough for you, or they feel like you've got a lot of obligations and responsibilities that they don't feel like you're attainable, right? Or they feel like you are closed off from any type of romantic interest in them because you've got so many different responsibilities going on. So far, this is like very work related, right? And then coffin is ending. So that's kind of self-explanatory, right? We kind of just talked about that. So I would say, how are they feeling about me? Well, they respect you a lot. They're very interested in with you. They kind of look at you with big moon eyes where, when you get excited and you look at somebody and your eyes get all big and round like the moon, So they look at you like that. They have a lot of respect for you. However, they feel like maybe you're too busy all the time, or maybe you're not making the time of day for them, or maybe they feel like they can't really approach you for some reason. Cross is also, you can also see cross as like a caste system. That's kind of another way to read cross, is like belonging to a certain group, right? Like a cross in Lenormand can mean belonging to a certain group, or being within sort of like a clique, or kind of like being part of a religion, right? Where they maybe don't feel necessarily that it's compatible with where they are and who they are. And then coffin is endings. I mean, they're going to pretty much let this go. So they have a lot of professional respect for you. And they really are kind of starstruck by you. They really respect you a lot, but they don't feel a level of compatibility with you. And that's what I would say. There's not really a compatibility. And then coffin there is like, no, sorry, it ends, right? Okay, so let's do a timing card. So someone comes to your chat and they say, I applied for this job, and I've applied for multiple jobs, and I was just curious about how soon from now that I will be hearing back from someone and getting a job offer. Okay. So let me make sure I get these really shuffled here. "23 mice," I would say within the next 23 days. Within the next 3 weeks is what I would say. Because it's number 23. So within 23 days or within about 3 weeks. Within the month, you're going to hear something for sure. And then if you wanted to look up here, you could say it's probably going to, and you might actually hear something as soon as 7 days from now. So a week from now. Okay. Let's say clouds. Okay. You're like, well, hold on. Let me get clarification on that. Then you could say, 6 clouds within 6 days, within a week. So that just kind of backs up and verifies what you said. Let's just say that's how you get confirmation. So let's say, actually what I would say is you're probably going to hear an offer within a week, but the offer that you really want to make sure that you're giving it the full time. Wait the full 3 weeks before you say yes on something if you can, because there's going to be multiple offers, right? Okay, let's say girlfriend goes to a bar and she meets a guy and they really hit it off and he's texting her that night and she wants to know when he's going to reach out to set up a date, okay? 21 Mountain, then I would say, you know, again, within the next couple weeks. You'll probably be going out within a couple weeks, and you'll probably be setting the date within 8 days. So you'll be setting the date to go out, scheduling that to go out within 8 days, and you probably go out for your first official date within 3 weeks, number 21. So 7 days times 3 weeks is 21 within 3 weeks. Okay. So let's just pull another card. Let's just get confirmation on that. Again, it's another 8. So within 7 days, you're going to be making that 33. So again, it's still in alignment within the next couple weeks, within the next month for sure. Let's say, your sister is wanting to come visit, and she won't set a date, and you're trying to figure out when you should have things ready in order for your sister to be here. So she's like, okay, I need to know about how quickly my sister is planning on getting here so that I can have her room ready and I can make sure I get the food and, you know, make sure all the towels are washed and all that kind of stuff. Writer. So if writer number 1, as soon as possible, you need to get that done. So you need to start on that today. And she'll probably be wanting to come in within the next 9 days, within the next 1 to 2 weeks. So start on that today is what I would say. Start on getting that ready today. Okay. Any questions about Lenormand before I let you guys go? What was your favorite thing you learned about today? If you would like to share, what did you learn about today through Lenormand? I would love to know. By the way, this deck is available. It's on, actually, you know what? Let me just go get you guys the link real quick. So let's see. Make playing cards. I'd rather use it than tarot for hotlines. You know, and I kind of agree with you on that. I think especially if you use them together. Dang it, I can't pull it up right now. It's for some reason not pulling up. So I will get that link and I will put it in the description of this video, and I will also put it in a comment. So I need to get you guys the link to my 36 card Lenormand training. I need to get you guys the link to the Lucky Clover deck. And then, by the way, just to let you guys know, I have a special going on. It's starting today. I haven't announced it yet other than just privately in the group, and I haven't even launched the post for it yet. But I'm bringing back the All Access Pass. So if you missed out on the All Access Pass back in December or January when I offered it for the winter solstice, what it is it's $777, and it is an all access pass to the Academy. So what that means is that it gets you about $1,500 worth of my classes and courses for one low investment price. It gets you the Psychic Hotline training. It gets you the Market Yourself as a Spiritual Life Coach training. It gets you my Moon Marketing Magic course. It gets you the Luxurious Lightworker Lifestyle Program, which is my brand new course that I'm running. That itself is valued at $444. So you're getting all of this extra stuff, all of my tarot workshops. I have the numerology of tarot, how to do tarot readings for chakra healing, the astrology of tarot cards, how to read tarot intuitively. Okay, so I have those. And then you get the core class through the Academy for $777. So if you are interested in that and you would like to sign up, just let me know. I will also be putting out a link on the Profitable Psychic, the main group lounge that we have. That's a separate group altogether, so make sure you're joined over there. If you are already a member of the Academy and you already have some of these courses, message me with your email address and I will come back at you with a counter offer of how much you need to, how much it would be to upgrade to the All Access Pass. So let's say you've already bought the Psychic Hotline training, which is $97. Say you already bought the Market Yourself as a Spiritual Life Coach training, that's $300. So that's $400 right there. And so if you've already spent that amount, what I can do is I can subtract it from the 777. You pay the difference, and then I will just upgrade you to the All Access Pass so you get everything. So let me know if you guys are interested in that. We'll be running that until next week, so it's only available for a week. And I bring it back around every quarter or so. Oh, thank you so much. Yes. Arya says, thank you. I ordered your Lenormand deck yesterday. What I liked about today was grasping it as a language. Yes, so it's very language. So if this, then that type of situation. Thank you, Diana. Thank you. I have 2 of your Lenormand decks, but with this tutorial, I feel inspired to use them much more. And I also have, a medical Lenormand deck. This is the medical Lenormand one, where, a little dusty, but they have meanings. For example, Scythe can describe the possibility of a sudden onset of illness or requiring minor surgery or a procedure. This card can represent a sudden and unfortunate accident or medical mistake. So it has medical meanings. I also have another one. It's called Learner's Lenormand. That's the one I would recommend if you're just learning Lenormand, because it has 2 sides to it. It's 2 decks in one. So on one side, it has just the image and a couple keywords. And then on the back, it has like 5 or 6 different interpretations of the card. So that's what I would recommend, getting the purple Lenormand, the purple Learner's Lenormand, if you want to read Lenormand on the Psychic Hotlines. I also have the Lover's Lenormand, which is a Lenormand deck I've created specifically for love and relationships. So those, you know, those questions we got about what do they feel about me? What do they think about me? What are their intentions? That's all on that deck. And it's sort of like the medical Lenormand one, where it has like a little excerpt about what it means in relation to relationships. So I've made it very easy for you guys to pick these up and get going. Jennifer says, I've been reading Lenormand since before I bought your deck, but it's in less demand among my clients. So I'm kind of inspired to use it for some of my page content. Thank you for that pull on my coaching stuff. That's pretty aligned with the direction I'm going. Cool. Okay. Well, you guys have an amazing rest of your day. I will get those links for you shortly. So make sure that you're paying attention to the comments. And as always, if you miss something, just feel free to inbox me and I will get you where you need to go. Let me know if you want to take advantage of the All Access Pass. Again, that's going to be around for only a week, and I will see you guys in the group. Have a good day. Have a very prosperous week.